Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to look at the Elite Rezult. This bow's new for 2020. It's a new target bow from Elite Archery. And as far as I'm concerned, Elite have really made huge advancements in bow technology with this bow. Now in the past, Elite have produced really solid bows and they've been pretty similar year from year. And I'm going to say they've looked when I say similar from year to year, very little change from year to year. They've been solid, the limbs have been good. They've used a binary cam system, so basically the same cam, top and bottom, and module adjustment. And the modules on Elite have been hard to adjust. And when I say hard to adjust, you need a bow press to adjust them. You've got to take the strings off to adjust them. This bow and the new Cure change all that. So when my staff and my store basically set up an Elite bow for a customer and adjust the draw length or change the peep sight, you've got to take the draw stops off the bow to put it in the bow press. It's a real time consumer. Nice bow, but a real time consumer. With this bow, Elite have changed really the design of the bow, and they've changed a few features which I want to show you about this bow. Now, when companies normally talk about how much they've developed their bow and all that sort of stuff, and I'm going to harp on this because I think Elite really have done it this year. Most times I'm pretty unimpressed by the new bow that's been released on the market. Generally it's pretty much the same as last year or similar to what has been produced by someone else in the past. To me, Elite have done something completely different here, and that's what I want to go through the points. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the stop. So in the past, Elite have used limb stops. So basically a stop on the cam which comes and hits the limb. Pretty standard. You're going to say a whole bunch of bow companies do that. And yes, they do. What Elite have done this year is they put a bracket down here. So it's a metal bracket which bolts onto the limb, and the draw stop, which is going to bolt on here on all these little screws here, hit this plate here. Now that's very different, but what it does, it enables you to use a set reference. So before, what you used to do is to slide the draw slot backwards and forwards. So when you used to put the bow on the bow press to change the string or to twist the peep sight, you'd have to take the draw stop off, and you really didn't know where it went on the cam. So it was a bit of trial and error, took more time. With Elite this time, these little screws here are all set positions. So if you want it less let off, it's on this position, higher let off here. So basically, if you didn't have a draw stop, and on this bow it's not the case, if you didn't have a draw stop, you used to get 100% let off. So you needed a draw stop, and that was pretty common in my shop also. You'd forget to put the draw stop on, you pull the bow back, get 100% let off, then put it back in the bow press to basically fix the bow up. This time Elite have added a cable stop as well, so you will not have that issue where you draw it back and it physically just keeps drawing. You've now got a cable stop and a limb stop which is going to bolt onto one of these holes. To me, that's a huge improvement. It's a huge change in the way Elite look at things, and this technology to me is something I really haven't seen before. Now what Elite have done also this year is a rotating module to change the draw length, which to me is absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to say what the draw length is because I can't remember. The draw length is adjustable from 24 to 31 inches with one rotating module. That is such a game changer for Elite, in my opinion, that it's just absolutely fantastic. Love the draw stop on the cable or the limb stop, so you can change the way this bow feels. I love that. And we haven't even got to the bits here which make this bow really unique. So the look of the bow, I think Elite have really stepped up their look in 2020 of their bows. In the past, I've criticised Elite with the way the bows looked. I thought they looked a bit dull, and I got criticised by some people for that. I didn't think they had enough bling in their colour, and I think in 2020, to me, the colours look pretty good. This is the sour apple. It looks quite bright. The teal looks great. And Elite's got a whole bunch of colours which I think look really good in the 2020 lineup. And I'd almost like to see what they look like in the 1919 lineup, because then I thought they were a bit more of a matte finish. To me, this is this kind of sparkles, and it looks good. It's still the same finish that Elite used before. It's a rhinodized finish, whatever that means. Someone said it's just a really tough finish. The machining looks really good. It's really well machined. So to me, that's all really positives. But the thing I saw a video on Nathan Brooks tuning this bow. And what he did is he took the tail of the arrow from the left to the right. And the way he did this was with this system up here. This system here enables you to basically tilt the limbs left and right. Now there's been this has existed in the past by PSE. The PSE enabled you to move the limbs left and right. I didn't have much success with that system, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. Now, many years before this, PSE on the Mac 10 had independent limbs, which at the time I thought was a pretty silly idea. Now I look back on it, I think actually that was a pretty clever idea. With Elite here moving the pivots left and right, what they're basically doing is changing the strength of the limbs left and right, which I think is pretty clever. And it now enables you to completely tune this bow. So in the past, to tune a bow, which doesn't have yokes, you used to shim the cams left to right, which basically involved needing a bow press and little shims in here, and you move the cams left and right. Bit of a pain, or a huge pain, whichever way you want to look at it. And if you don't have access to a bow press, it's a real problem. Now you can shoot a bow with cam lean, you can shoot a bow which is untuned, but a lot of people don't like doing that. So yeah, this is system, I assume this here is a locking screw, and basically you just move it with this screw. There's a little diagram on the back here, just on the side here, which says which way to turn it, if your tail's left or if your tail's right. So really simple. I don't know if this system is going to be a pain for consumers who are tuning the bow and don't know what to do and are struggling with poor technique, and they're using this to try and fix poor technique. I don't know. But it's a very innovative idea, and I like innovation, and I've got to give Elite a complete thumbs up for the design factor of this. Now this bow is top of the line for Elite as far as target bows, and it's going to be priced as such at around the 2,000 Australian dollars. That prices it under the Hoyt Invicta. It prices it very similar to the PSE Perform. I'm trying to think of other target bows, probably cheaper than the Bowtech, which I don't know how much the Bowtech is. Anyway, machine limb pockets here. The limbs look nice. It's a standard fiberglass limb, not under a lot of tension. They've got limb dampeners here which look nice. The limb pocket system here, they've got plastic here to hold the limbs in place. You've got locking screws here and here to lock the limbs down. Now with Elite, I think you can only turn the limbs down 3 turns. It would be nice if it was on the manual here, but be careful. If you try and wind it out too much, you'll pop these little bolts on the side here. So just be careful of that. Okay, cable guard. Now, Elite on their cure for 2020 have used roller slides. So basically 2 rollers the cables run on. On this one, they're using a straight cable guard with a slide roller here. Now, I'm not sure why they varied it. There must be a good reason for it. I'm not sure why that's the case. But the first thing I picked up here was the crossovers at the top. Now on pretty much any bow I can think of, the crossover's in the middle, which is down here where you grip the bow. The reason it's down here is because it reduces the torque here, the angle on the cables which go through the roller. So that's interesting to me. The limb stops are pretty standard. The string stop's pretty standard to take vibration out. The bow weighs 4.7 pounds. It's 37 3/4 inch axle, which is pretty standard for the other target bows on the market. The Invictus comes in that, the PSE comes in that, but PSE will come in at 40 inch as well. So it's a pretty standard sort of size. The brace height's 7 1/8, which is a little bit down on some, but it's still pretty standard. Speed on this, IBO rated, I think it's 325 at 30 inches at 70 pound. So that's pretty quick. So I'm going to be interested to see how that feels. On the limbs here, you've got these little bolts here, which is meant to stop the limbs from splitting if you dry fire them. So overall, I'm really impressed with what Elite have done. So balance on the bow, which is interesting because this is a target bow, and a lot of the target bows will balance backwards. And the reason they balance backwards is because you fit a long stabilizer with lots of weight here, where Elite have actually balanced this straight upright. Very interesting. I'm not sure why they've done that, but still interesting. Multiple sight positions here. This cable guard you can move in or out with a simple set screw. They've used this technology for a number of years. Lower mount stabilizer positions here and here for if you want to move your V-bars down. Now the reason why you want to move the V-bars down is to lower the balance point. Lowering the balance point is meant to be like a pendulum to push the weight downwards. There's only one stabilizer point on the front. So overall, the look of this bow, I think it looks pretty good. I think Elite could have done more. And what I'm going to say here, which I probably say about most target bows, I think you want bling for a target bow. A lot of people will like the look of this and they'll like the whole way it looks. I think a lot of target archers are going to want bling, which means different color limbs, different color cams. I think this bow would have popped if you had the option of white limbs with the option of green cams. I think that functionality or that choice in a top-end $2,000 target bow is not a must, but I think it would be preferable. It would make a lot more people talk about the bow. It would make a lot more people interested in the bow. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up a sight on it, an arrow rest, and see how it draws, put it through a chronograph, and see how I shoot this at 18 meters. Okay, so we're here now to test out the Elite Rezult. Now, I've fitted the limb stops just there. Now, the thing you'll notice, there's a little Allen key there, so you can actually change the position of the string stop. Now, I haven't adjusted that. This is the first time I've drawn the bow, so I just want to get a feel. So if you want to feel the difference between a string stop and a limb stop, you can do that. You can take this off. You can just use a string stop if you want. I've elected to go for the limb stop just to get a feel for it. I've moved into the third position, so I should get some valley, but not a full valley. Let's just see what it feels like. Now, the first thing I'm going to comment on is the grip. Now, a lot of bows feel different. The competitors for the Rezult, the TRX from Matthews. I'm not a big fan of the grip for the TRX. Now I know Matthew shooters like their grips. The PSE, obviously the Phenom, the Focus, sorry, the Phenom, the Perform, the Focus, is a wider grip than this, it feels. The Hoyt Invicta feels narrower than this. This grip feels quite good. You can see it's got shape to it, so it starts off thin and goes wider in the hand grip. Most bows are actually the same thickness all the way through. It feels to me, it could just be purely optical, that the grip is actually slightly pointed out this way. It feels very, very comfortable. The thumb here feels good, and here it feels good. Some bows touch here. I think one of the Hoyts touched here and felt very uncomfortable. This is definitely a better feeling grip without having shot it. It feels good. One thing I want to make comment on is the strings. Elite and Winner's Choice, same company. If you buy the Winner's Choice version of these strings, they're more expensive. The Elite strings are cheaper. Now, you'll see this is the sour grape and it comes with a straight grey. I'm going to assume that all the Elite bows come with grey strings. I think the strings should be matched to the bow. That's my view. I think it's just a bit of a cheap cop-out to use grey strings, but that's just my view. So let's try it. So first off, we're going to try the draw cycle. I'm going to say there's two Allen keys there for the arrow rest to bolt onto. I know that was a factor for Hoyt, which they've introduced this year. Elite have got it. I think that should be standard on all bows. And I'm going to say, like last year in Vegas, so 2019, I shot Vegas and I shot with Nathan Brooks's wife, Jennifer, and she said, try an Elite and see what sort of score you shoot with indoor. Now, I tried to do that. I tried to buy an Elite in red. I don't know if they wouldn't do it or what. The Victory only comes in blue, grey, black. and I have a red theme, so I'd have to change all my accessories. The Echelon did come in a red, but I just didn't like the color of the red it came in. This to me looks like a nice color, so I never actually got to shoot an indoor round with an Elite bow last year, so let's just see how this goes. So first off, we're going to try the draw cycle. This should be set at 29 inches at 60 pound, which is what I shoot every day. I feel like I swallowed a fly. So the first thing, I can feel the strings going through the cable guard. You can feel them they feel like they're wearing it. It feels gritty going through the cable guard. It would be better with a roller slide. I've got this whole thing about them crossing over in the lower part instead of the top part, but it would feel better with a roller slide. So when it gets, so I'm going to say the Elite has complete functionality about the way this draw cycle feels. That's the way it comes back into the valley, how it feels on the valley, how solid it is on the valley. You've got the complete functionality, so you can't really say, well, I like this draw cycle or I like that draw cycle. You can make this bow feel that way. So at 60 pounds, it didn't hurt drawing it back on my shoulders, so I'm going to say it's less aggressive than the Hoyt Invictus, which actually hurt my shoulders to draw back, unless I've become stronger in the last 2 weeks, which I don't think I have. So it's peaking. It's kind of dropping, but it's not really dropping. Valley, dead stop. So the way I've set this up, it's still a short valley. Okay, the valley is about that big, but it's not dropping off. It's not 90%. I'm going to say I've probably got it set on 70. So it's going to feel very similar to the PSE Focus. I think, in fact, the draw cycle is very similar, except I can feel the cables coming through this cable guard. I would have preferred a roller slide on here, like they use with the Cure, or a roller cable guard. So, all right, so the arrows I'm going to shoot, I'm going to take a shot now. The arrows I'm shooting are, these are gold tip velocities. They weigh 327. They've got a 90 grain point, pin nocks. They're about 29 inches long. Same arrows I use on all my speed tests. 300's a pretty good speed to get out of a bow with these arrows at 60 pound, 29 inches. The way this draw cycle feels, I'm going to guess 290. It's not a harsh draw. It's not a hard draw cycle at all. .292, and it definitely feels like a .292 bow. It's not too hard. It's not too soft. It's pretty good. The grip feels, I'm going to say it feels better than the Hoyt. The Hoyt's a narrow grip. Just the shape of this, where it starts off thinner, goes wider, and the angles, to me it feels the best of the grips. But test it out. Always test out bows before you buy them if you can. See if you like it. .293. Now, okay, I'm going to compare this to the Victory bows of the past, the Elite bows of the past, the Victory X. The draw cycle on this is not even comparable. It's far superior than the Victory X. The Victory X just sort of dropped off. It was harder. This is smoother. To me, there's been a lot of Elite bows I've liked, especially the hunting lines, like I'm going to say the Ritual, the Revolve. There's a lot there I liked as far as the draw cycle. This is right there with them. This is definitely a nice draw cycle. There's very little, so these are the Victory VAP arrows I shoot. They've got 140 grain points on them. 350 spine. You can see the bow when it moves, you get a little jump forward, but it's pretty good. Okay, it aims a lot easier than the Invictus. The Invictus I felt like I was fighting with, and that was with the smooth cams. I don't feel any fight with this. I'm going to say it's closest to the feel of the shot to the PSE. So if you're familiar with the PSE, the Perform, the Focus, kind of feels a little bit in between those. The Focus jumps forward a little bit in your hand. The Perform is a little bit more steady. This is a little bit in between those two, where it sort of jumps forward a little bit, but not too much. There's definitely no residual vibration in the bow. It's a pretty good bow. It's a very good bow. Yeah, I think the draw cycle is as good as anything because it's completely customizable. The rotating modules are fantastic. The fact that you can adjust the string stop or the limb stop is just brilliance, and the tunability is really good. So I think with that, we'll see how I shoot at 18 meters with it. And how do I think I'll shoot with it at 18? Actually, I think I'll shoot really well with it because it's got an easy draw cycle, so it's not lumpy. When the bow's lumpy, it moves up and down in my hand. It's basically 38 inches axle, 7-inch brace height. Now some of the bows I shoot are 8, but I've shot well with 7 inches before, so I think I'll shoot well with this again. The draw stop when I get back there's solid, I'm not fighting against it, so I think I'll be steady when I aim. The grip's as comfortable as I've shot, so I think I should shoot well with this. So let's go and see. Okay, so I shot 4 arrows to sight this bow in. It sighted in really easy. The last arrow was, I think, 11 o'clock in the 10. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to say I really like the grip of this bow. It's really comfortable. Happy with the draw cycle. It just feels easy to shoot. The bow's very quiet to shoot. I'm going to say I think it's quieter than the Focus I currently shoot, the PSE Focus. It feels easy to aim. I'm not getting shutter left or right. Pulling back, it's sitting straight on the target quickly. The weight feels good at 4.7. Now 4.7 is pretty standard in the industry today. I think most of the bows are 4.7. So look, I really like this bow. Now when it comes to top end bows, is there a lot of difference between one brand to the next? I'm going to say probably not. Beginners can shoot, when I say beginners, good archers can shoot big scores with basic gear, and people who shoot big scores with older bows. It's just when you're looking at a top end bow like the Elite Rezult, or like one of the top end from another brand, what you're looking for is a bow that gives you a little bit more edge, a bow that feels a little bit more comfortable. It's maybe a bow that's more dependable, maybe a bow that's more forgiving to shoot. What I'm looking for is a bow to give me 5 more points in the scores I currently shoot. 5 more points would make me really competitive, so if I could get that, then I'd be really happy. What impresses me with this bow is the grip. I really like the grip. It's interesting when you talk to companies, and when I'm at an ATA show, people come up to the people at the booth and always talk about the grip, how the bow feels. And if you talk to the engineers who designed the bow, they always say their grip is the best because they designed it. I think this is the best grip. Feels easy to shoot. I feel like I want to set up for target and shoot some squirrels with it. Yeah, the big long stabilizer on the front, the stabilizer on the back, the scope, peep sight in the string. I'm going to say Elite. So I've been selling Elite. Now I don't sell as many as some of the other brands in my shop. Touch wood, I haven't had a warranty yet. I think that's correct. I've been selling them for about 2-3 years. I don't know where they're going down the other end. I'm hoping the camera works down the other end. Feels good. The cable guard, I still notice it pulling through the cable guard. Now I am getting now a little bit of that happening. I think that's just fatigue setting in, but I think they're still dropping into the center down there. Nice bow. I like the color. So would I experiment with string stops and cable stops? I think right now all I'm getting is the limb stop and not the cable stop. Look, I'm not much of a fiddler with stuff. I just tend to go shoot. But a lot of people do like to fiddle with stuff, so I would shoot this just the way it is. I wouldn't even experiment with the different stops. I find it comfortable. Let's just shoot one more. Alright, let's go down and see where they are. Yeah, let's go and have a look. Before we look at the group, which you've probably already seen, this is the hat it comes with. I think the hat's average. Should have a better hat. This is the grey. So that's the grey finish up close. Look, it looks fine, and it's probably going to be popular for boys because it's not out there, it's not bright, it's not glary. So basically conservative men, they'll probably go the greys and the blacks. So I'm here at the group. Now I can't get my fingers around it, but they're all, look, it's a pretty tight group. Look, they're slightly on this side of the target. There's no 8s. The majority are 10s. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 4 9s. Rest at 10. That's pretty good for a hunting setup. Whiskey biscuit, 5-pin sight. And that's literally, I've only shot 4 or 5 arrows with this bow. Very happy with it. I've probably shot better with other bows in the past, but I'm pretty confident that's as good as I've shot. It's comfortable. Anyway, I think it's good. I think the bow's good. I think the finish is good. feels good. So then I'm going to get to, well, how's it compare in the market to the other bows? So I've just shot the Invictus. I prefer this bow to the Invictus. I found the Invictus too hard. When I got back there, I was shaking. Because you can totally adjust the feel of this bow, like the stop, the valley and all that sort of stuff, and the draw cycle is pretty good. I'm going to say it's as good as the draw cycle on PSE. I would have said the PSE had the best draw cycle of them. The Matthews still has the least vibration of them, of the target bows, because it's got short little limbs and parallel. But I don't mind the jumping forward feel. It feels comfortable. It's a bit of a feel when you shoot the bow. So overall, I really like the bow. Price point on this bow, where it sits in the marketplace. It's got more adjustability in the Hoyt in draw length, and the stops, how it feels, and that sort of stuff. The Matthews is modular based, so when you want to change the draw length, you've got to buy a new module. This has got more adjustability on the draw length, the draw stops, the let off, the valley. There's more adjustability. So really, when it comes to adjustability, you're comparing this and the PSE. The draw length is probably similar as far as the draw length range. You've got more adjustability on this bow than the PSE, because you can change the whole valley and how it feels through the valley. So I'm going to say it's got more adjustability than the PSE. Now, where the PSE has got an advantage over the Elite is the focus, because the focus is priced at about $1,400, where this is about $2,000. Now, I currently shoot a focus. The focus does not have this limb tuning ability, if that's a factor. So I'm like, I really like the Elite. And I think if you're in the market for a new target bow, you should check one out. And I think the other bow you want to check out is the Focus. There are other target bows on the market. There's also a Bowtech. I haven't seen one, so I can't tell you about it. There's a Prime, which I haven't seen, so I can't tell you about it. But I can tell you about the Matthews and the Hoyt, because I've shot those. So, and obviously the PSE. But I think the Rezult is clearly such a big advance on the 2019 Elite that actually I'm pretty keen to set this up with stabilizers and sights, scopes, and try it and see what sort of scores I shoot, to see if I can actually shoot better or less than the PSE I'm currently shooting, because I'm shooting my best scores with the PSE. So overall, I think Elite has made a huge improvement in their bow development. Now, I'm going to say on this also, I'm going to say about what makes you buy a bow. Do you buy a bow because you like the look of it? Do you buy a bow because of the price? Do you buy a bow because of the archer shooting it? Elite in 2019 had a whole bunch of pro shooters like Chris Schaff, Reno Wild, who have now left and gone to other bow companies. Now, in my sales view, in my shop, I didn't get many people coming to buy Elites because of those people shooting the bow. So the sponsored shooters did not drive people to my store. Now, it could be I'm in Australia, it could be different in America. I think this bow will drive people to try the bow, and I think it will drive sales. Already, I've had this bow in my shop for 2 weeks and I've sold 3 of them. I haven't had any feedback, so I can't tell you what those people thought of the bow. But I've sold 3 and I sold another one today, so 4. I can't tell you what anyone's thought of them. I can tell you about the Cure, because someone has shot that in my... I've sold 2 of them now in my store. And that's in a week. But overall, I think this bow will drive... The technology in this bow, what Elite have done to this bow, will drive sales regardless of the people shooting the bow. So yeah, so I don't know what that means, but I mean, companies spend a lot of money on staff shooters to promote a product. And I think sometimes it helps, and sometimes it may not drive the sales that it needs to cover those staff's cost. But anyway, I think this is such an improvement for Elite. I think they'll go far with this bow, and I'd just like to see coloured cams and coloured limbs and coloured strings and a roller cable guard or roller slides on here. That's what I'd like to see, and I think Elite then would be stepping up to another level in what they've done. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Check out the Elite Rezult in your local archery shop and see how you think it compares to the other target bows on the market. Thanks for watching. Bye.